1997 Fender Custom Shop Jazzbass. It's a 1960 Relic, serial number R0898. When I first started playing in with the group in Milwaukee, I was playing a Padula, and it was a Padula. It was sort of a boutique-y kind of bass. Not very many people knew about them. Very fewer played them. And I did. It was very light. It had a very nice neck. It had a very nice tone. And it was like the single pickup Fender bass. A little bit more jazzy. Had a little bit more mid-tone. Had very, very nice deep tone. The bright tone wasn't particularly outstanding, but all in all, it was a very worthwhile bass. And to do the things that I was doing, when I had it, it was just fine. However, we started playing all these different places. Every time I'd roll into a club, someone inevitably would come up and ask me about it. And a lot of times it would be the owner of the club who booked us, and he would say, "What's that?" I'd say, "Oh, it's a Padula." And he'd say, "Well, is that one of those Japanese things?" No. He said it's a California thing. And I found it to be out of favor, even though it sounded great. It sounded good as any Fender Precision would, maybe better. But it wasn't taken very well. So one Saturday, my guitar player wanted something, and it was something, of a pro nature. And there weren't any pro guitar shops or music stores, really, in Milwaukee. But I knew where they were in Chicago, so we got in the car, drove up to Chicago to Making Music. Making Music was a real player's, a music store. They had the best of everything. And he was looking at what he was looking at, and I was wandering around, and I looked up and I saw a jazz bass. And it was remarkably like the jazz bass I used to play. And I owned a 1960 jazz bass, real one, for a long time. And I started off playing a jazz bass. So I knew the guy who owned the store, and I asked Teddy if I could take it down. He said, "Sure." So he gets it off the rack, hands it to me, takes me over, plugs me in a bass amp, and it was I believe it was a MPEG. Sounded great. The thing just sounded like super cool. It had a beautiful, low end on it. It had a nice bell. The neck was very, very nice. It was very, very original feeling. It was easy to play, even though it was a jazz bass, so it's big scale, it's long scale. I've got small paws. I could play this thing pretty well. It had, since it was from the custom shop, it had some kind of special pickups in it. They called them aged or whatever the heck they were, and they were specially wound, and they really did sound good. So my friend wound up getting nothing, and I wound up buying the jazz bass, and that was 97. And I played it and played it and played it and played it, and I played it in just about every gig that we did, which was 500-600, something like that. And a couple times I had some problems with it, and I broke a string once, and the tuner came loose. My A key got a little loose, and I couldn't tune the A string anymore. And then another time we were playing a club, but this wasn't more subtle. All of a sudden, it started making a little noise. Now, they are single coil pickups, so you don't play them right, you don't set them right. You can get that 60-cycle hum without a problem, but I was getting a different kind of noise. I took it into my buddy and found out that I miraculously had somehow managed to take the ground wire off of it while playing it. And considering it's inside the thing, a pretty handy thing to do. But I really like this bass, and this thing will be with me as long as I'm here. And because whenever I want to do anything with a bass, this is the thing that does it. So I think we should play a little bit. It's sunburst. I didn't clean it up or anything. It's just like it was when I played it. It's got the that's relicing, and inside here the rusting is relicing, and if you turn it over, it's got some more little marks. But this is a moderate relic. This isn't where it's down to the bare wood. It's got chips in it, where somebody beat it with a chain or whatever they do to it to make it look like. If I had played this bass, if I had bought it, when it was in perfect condition, it'd be in perfect condition now. But you're supposed to look cool. I'll tell you later on. I'll tell you a story about having a bass like this. If we're first starting to make relics, then there weren't that many relics, and so when you came out with something like this, and somebody saw you, particularly a bass player, they would be kind of happy. Like, wow, that's a real deal. Until you looked on the back of the headstock, and on the back of the headstock, right there, it says Fender Custom Shop. Kind of a clue that it's not a real one. But other than that, you can't tell. Looks the same. Okay. I'm going to play just a little bit on it. I didn't do anything special. I'm playing in a trio, so I had to be there all the time, and I had to be steady, and that's kind of what I was known for. All the people that listened to me, and particularly the musicians that knew me. My strong point was that I was steady. I was always there and always on time, which is kind of a good thing to have if you're a bass player. So we played a rock, we played a lot of blues, some other things, but by and large, And then I had a guitar player that was from Texas, and he liked to do the Stevie Ray thing, and so we played kind of the white boy blues. Nonetheless, it sounded great on this thing, and the neck is just sweet as could be. It's nice radius, good action, really holds. Sounds great. Nice tone, just it's got a little snap to it. I'd make it a little snappier if I want, but snap, yep, that kind of stuff. More than likely, though, I'm just kind of playing bass, and real bass. Jazz. I'm playing more jazz now, but I don't play jazz bass. I play jazz guitar. But every now and then I'll pick up the bass and try to pretend that I know how to play jazz on it. And it sounds great, doesn't it? Just love this thing. I was playing one at a place called Up and Under. It's right in the middle of the east side of Milwaukee. It's cool, hip side. And this was the period when the emo bands were in, the guys with acoustic guitars, and they were generally younger, in their 20s. I'm playing with 50. And one of the popular bands, I never thought they were pretty good. I thought they had some nice singers, and they had a couple songs that were okay, but the rest is kind of milky and just whatever. Didn't get me. There was a bass player for the best one of these bands. This guy was kind of arrogant. Most of the cats I ran into throughout my career, great. Other musicians were wonderful, because you were kind of like brothers and sisters, and you didn't. You looked at each other's style, and you could think of what you wanted of the other, but you didn't come after them. But there are always the arrogant, I'm better than you type things going on. So I was playing at the Up and Under, and I looked down, and here's the bass player for this crazy group. We take a break, I get down, and this kid, walks up to me and he says, "Hey, what year is that bass?" I figure right away, he don't know. He doesn't know that this is really a reissue. It's Custom Shop. Because it's standing there, it's in the stand. You can't see the band. I said, that's a 1960. He said, that's what I thought. He said, I think you could sell it. I think you should sell it to me. I said, sell it to you? I said, what would you do with it? He said, well, I just happened to be the bass player for blah, 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 blah band, or whatever it was called. I said, yeah, I know that, but what would you do with it? In other words, you haven't a clue on how to play bass. He didn't think that was very funny, but I did. So you get some of that. The renowned bass players around Milwaukee respected me, and I respected them, and we always had a good time. So I was very happy playing here. Here it is, good old 1997 Fender Custom Shop. I did have one other thing before we leave. I had the neck move on me. So I took it to a place that was a Fender store. And I said, hey, the neck moved. And they went after the truss rod, and they said, we're scared to tighten it anymore because we think it might bust. And I went, oh, great. What do I do now? And they said, well, we'll try some things with it. And I said, but it's got a lifetime guarantee. And they said, well, those came along later. Okay, we don't think yours has a lifetime guarantee. I said, we'll find out. So they did all this research, and they found out that my bass was under the same month that the lifetime guarantee was issued, my bass was manufactured. So in fact, it was covered. So that was kind of cool. And they even knew that it was, delivered to Making Music in Chicago, and they knew the date that it was sold. And I had the receipt, which was even cooler. It's like, well, we got a lifetime guarantee. You got your receipt? Well, how many musicians have the receipt from yesterday? I had one from 20 years before, right? So, yeah, I had it, but I love it, and I'll always take care of this baby. It may take it with me. I'm not sure. See you later.